The extraordinary events of 2020 have compelled companies and associations across the globe to re-evaluate the way they operate. The National Association of Automotive Components and Allied Manufacturers, or NAACAM, and its members boldly took a step in the direction of the unknown and demonstrated astounding agility and resilience over the year. The automotive sector found innovative ways of dealing with an unprecedented situation and in many cases emerged better than initially expected when the country was plunged into lockdown at the end of March.
Firstly, from a NAACAM point of view, we've had to, as an organization, equally adapt, similar to businesses in South Africa with regards to the current circumstances. Obviously, from our point of view, is overall in the motor industry, the ability to protect our businesses and our organization through this process is probably the first step that we've had to undertake. Secondly, we've had to then plan as to the new challenges that lie ahead of us and the ability to then use those plans to then look to how we then prosper into the future. From a NAACAM point of view, obviously that ability to protect the association, to plan for the new opportunities and challenges, and equally to grow NAACAM as a consequence of the future is equally important, and it's something that we're working towards. From our point of view is we've had to look at how do we take the new opportunities and new challenges and use them to then be successful into the future. The role that NAACAM played in leading the industry, the component industry, our involvement with the Department of Trade and Industry with regards to the change to the level and opening up the businesses as early on as possible, but equally our direct involvement in the master plan, the new APDP, and the working with government, working with naamsa, working with the unions with regards to the Executive Oversight Committee to ensure that the opportunities that the future will bring to the industry are seized upon as quickly as possible, and in turn creates the agile, resilient industry that we can. As always, as South Africans, we've always been able to make plans irrespective of the challenges that lie before us. So as a consequence of that, I think there will be changes, but the future is exciting. And as long as we position ourselves accordingly with intelligence and with foresight, I think we stand a very good opportunity into the future.
2020 has just been an unbelievable year. And I think as we talk about agility and resilience, these are concepts that have tested not only NAACAM as an organization, but I suppose the wider auto supplier, and I think the auto sector as a whole. The range of services that we were forced to get involved in and assist members with through that initial period was unprecedented for the organization, and I think for the sector as a whole. Just getting the sector back to work, ensuring the interaction with other stakeholders, government, our partners in the sector, ensuring that the auto's value chain as a whole was brought back to production as soon as possible, kept us really busy and engaged in the first few weeks of the lockdown. At the same time, we were involved in many initiatives to help support, I suppose, the health objective of the country. NAACAM was key to developing linkages with the different opportunities that brought about. And I think for all of us in the NAACAM space, we were really heartened to see how our membership base reacted to that situation. NAACAM also played a key role in ensuring, as we got into the revised work conditions brought about by the risk-adjusted framework, companies were continuously kept abreast of best practice and how they should be responding to some of the regulatory changes. And I think as the year kind of settled down into a new mode of operating, NAACAM was at the forefront of supporting what that changed environment looked like for our members, assisting them with linkages to the customer in context of changed production environment, revised volumes. So I think for me as a whole, it was kind of an interesting year, challenging, but also I think tested and showed the ability of NAACAM and its membership base to respond to some of the key challenges brought about by the COVID scenario. We continue with a significant amount of work in the lobbying, the policy advocacy space. The sector is about to go into a new framework of support under the SA Autos Master Plan as of next year. And we've been supporting membership with what it means for them to be in that space. I think an interesting development and an ongoing development, something that we're working quite a lot on, is supporting especially our multinational members in how they can optimize their transformation requirements, key engagements with government, with the AITF, to use this as a form of combined equity equivalent, just like the OEMs did. As we're speaking about agility and resilience, it's also probably important for us to recognize that the quicker we get the wheels turning and we get the levels of certainty with the APDP Phase 2 and the Master Plan programs bedded down as soon as possible, it's going to assist and support companies, both OEMs, component manufacturers, all participants in the sector, to have that base of support for that framework that allows adaptability and agility in delivering what the sector needs its participants to deliver. And by that I mean, as long as the base is sound and everyone knows what that base consists of, the quicker it is you're able to respond to the kind of challenges that we've seen thrown up during the course of this year. So I look forward to working with our partners across the sector, public and private, to ensure we bed that program down as soon as possible and let the sector do what it needs to do under the certain and secure frameworks of the very strong support that come the way of the sector.
NAACAM's key stakeholders also played a role in assisting the association during the year.
NAMSA, obviously, as you know, represents a number of companies in our stable, and we're very proud that we've achieved quite a lot, particularly during this year in 2020, amidst obviously the challenges that we've seen as it relates to COVID-19. It has been a very difficult year, particularly for our manufacturers and our importers, but it has also demonstrated how resilient the automotive industry has been, and we're very proud that we have been able to weather the storm in the manner in which we have. And we believe very strongly that 2021 is a very good basis for us to can be able to make sure that we implement some of the objectives that we have set for ourselves under the master plan, the automotive master plan that we all agreed to in 2018. We are hopeful that you, as our important stakeholder sitting in this AGM today, as our component manufacturers, particularly the new entrants and small businesses that are coming into our landscape, you will certainly be able to partner with us as we grow this industry into the future.
So I think the segment that's showcasing the increasing presence and capability of Black-owned suppliers in the autos value chain is crucial. There's a lot of pressure that's come onto sector stakeholders, both in an OEM space and the supplier space, to increase the number of Black-owned, South African Black-owned suppliers that participate in the sector. And I think what we'll see today is the significant capability and stride that some of the South African Black-owned suppliers have made in the space.
Acoustics, a Black-owned Tier 1 based in Port Elizabeth, houses interior trim and insulation divisions. The company and its senior leadership effectively navigated the turbulent operating environment to unlock new opportunities.
It's brought us the ability to place a lot more focus on the smaller items in the business, streamlining our business, but also becoming more customer-centric, pushing the relationship further, and also seeing how we can actually push the boundaries of our company in terms of product profile. So how did we navigate this difficult time? When we heard about the lockdown, we immediately formed a COVID task team which dealt with various issues in the business to prove that just because we're a black supplier doesn't mean that we're just being used as a supplier to improve OEM points, but rather that we're a supplier that's good at quality, we're good at price, we're good at supply, and that we're actually a force in the market to deal with.
Other high-caliber black suppliers within the NAACAM membership included Sealtron SA and Tequini Wire and Fasteners. Sealtron, a wire harnessing and injection molding supplier, currently supplies OEMs in the white goods, mining and vehicle aftermarket sectors. Since making the strategic decision to enter the automotive sector, they have engaged with Tier 1s and OEMs and are currently pursuing a number of new localization opportunities. Through an ASCCI Black Supplier Development Program, Sealtron has partnered with Mala Bear South Africa to localize a strategic component for Mala. Another black supplier making significant strides is Tequini Wire and Fasteners, which has had a successful 2020. Tequini Wire successfully graduated from their Ntinga project, a VWSA initiative supported by ASCCI to identify and develop black-owned component suppliers in South Africa. They recently invested in a high-capacity sequential bending machine, enabling them to supply their new Tier 1 customer and fellow NAACAM member Bosel with hanger brackets for the new VW Polo Vivo. This investment was supported by NAACAM to raise the capital to purchase the new machinery to support their future product diversification.
If there was to be a call to action, I would ask of the NAACAM member firms who are attending today's AGM to get involved with ASCCI, in particular in the space of black supplier development. It's highly unlikely that each and every one of our member firms has sufficient in-house resource to address the needs around supplier development, particularly building quality systems, building logistics systems, introducing new technologies. And my call to action, my challenge to the NAACAM CEOs and MDs attending today's AGM is contact ASCCI and let's see how we can utilize our resources coupled together with an existing Tier 2 or Tier 3 that you might know to build our black supplier development base.
The launch of the Automotive Industry Transformation Fund, which is designed to support black participation in the automotive industry supply chain, is an initiative aimed at transforming the industry.
What does transformation look like and what does it mean? From our point of view, transformation is quite broad in that we are simply trying to, rebalance the issues of inequality. And inequality has got different patterns. And I think at the center of it, you find diversity as one of the topics that needs to be tabled and discussed. In South Africa, it's not only a race issue that we have come across from our historical pattern, but I think also a gender issue, also an age issue, also it depends where you live in South Africa. So there are many different things that have got to be looked into when you consider transformation. So I think diversity sits at the center of it, because before you try and include others, I think the most important thing is that you've got a diversified circle that makes certain decisions, because then you are well represented from making decisions.
A NAACAM member that represents this definition of transformation is Microfinish. The Durban-based manufacturer of precision machined components is both black-owned and boasts a management team with an average age of just 35.
The team at Microfinish believes that agility and resilience allows us to be dynamic. It enables us to sort of assess opportunities relatively quickly, be it our conventional products or product diversification. Given the fact that our current export portfolio is 99%, our single biggest barrier for growth would be our competitors. However, our dynamicness has resulted in us creating partnerships with our competitors, which basically enable us to jointly unlock new markets together. The success of this has enabled us to increase our export market share, which has also resulted in our most recent expansion program. Based on the engagements with our clients, we realized that we have to look at a sort of diversification and a pivot into markets that we were not really servicing at the time. Specifically essential services. Essential services would be very much active at the time, which allowed us to pivot and diversify our products into essential services.
This product diversification resulted in the design and manufacture of the SaniStep, a foot-operated device that provides a hands-free solution for opening doors, thus preventing the spread of germs and viruses. Microfinish isn't the only company that has pivoted during the COVID-19 pandemic, which forced the sector to call upon its ability to be flexible and to adapt to rapid change. Ugo Frigerio explains how the association and the industry at large showcased this agility.
Another very important aspect of our ability to adapt to the circumstances related to our intervention and contribution towards the COVID initiative, where a number of companies in South Africa took the initiative to convert their production processes to assist in the respirator initiative, and in turn to assist in the creating the necessary supply of masks and related equipment, and that assisted a number of our component companies to be able to make up for the loss of revenue and in turn take up capacity, manufacturing capacity in their businesses in order to try and get over the initial impact of COVID.
Showcasing this adaptability is the JMP Group, a 63% black-owned Level 2 BEE supplier of gaskets, industrial sponges, rubber and other allied products to various industries. The company, which has participated in ASCCI's world-class manufacturing program, identified face shield production as an opportunity to get its staff back to work while also utilizing its spare production capacity.
With our high-tech machinery that we had available, normally used to supply automotive-related products, we decided that the face shields was ideally suited to manufacture that in both high volumes and meet the demands, or meet a part of the demand from the PPE aspect. Our R&D process allowed us to develop a product that was competitive, keep our factory busy, help with the slowdown of the pandemic, and compete with Chinese imports. We took that opportunity one step further and decided to invest in proper tooling to make sure that we could complete a product that's of world-class standard, both acknowledged by the medical fraternity and the health and safety aspect of the COVID-19 pandemic.
NAACAM was very supportive through this whole process, but I'm going to take you one step back and try to explain to you how we actually came about face shields. So in this process, we had regular meetings, Zoom meetings, the minute we went on lockdown with the senior management team and the sales staff, and said, how can we register on all government sites, taking into account our capabilities, manufacturing capabilities. We did that, and through that process, we also investigated what can we actually produce to assist South Africa and the hospitals in the PPE requirements that was in a huge demand and a huge shortfall in South Africa. I think the important thing is that NAACAM, through this whole process, assisted us, guided us, and we also shared a lot of information with them. We assisted to establish with NAACAM to conformity to the DTI and World Health Organization in the face shields.
Creative Graphics International similarly adapted its manufacturing facility to produce the Survisor face shield. Through the high standards required in the automotive sector, CGI was able to produce the Survisor to medical grade standards.
This is not about the money. We're doing this because, yes, we have to pay our salaries and wages. We feel obliged to make sure that our staff don't go hungry over this period. But we have a social responsibility. We are able to manufacture these face shields that will protect our essential workers, and thus we need to do that.
Doing our work at CGI, making shields in order to prevent people getting contained by this virus. So you actually feel good because you make a difference in our country. And not just in our country, because what we're doing here is not just for South Africa, it goes worldwide.
Other innovations include the creation of a health app by GenderMark. GenderMark builds high-tech production lines and special-purpose machinery for the global automotive sector. It put its 4IR tech to work with the new Odin Health app to manage employee wellness in its operations around the globe. Local automotive company GUD Holdings developed an innovative mobile hand wash station by repurposing their Indie oil drums to allow people at taxi ranks and in water-scarce areas to wash their hands with hygienic liquid soap and water to prevent the spread of COVID-19 and other illnesses. Meanwhile, non-profit organisation the South African Emergency Ventilator Project, or SAVE-P, was launched in March. Led by NAACAM member Rand York Castings, the NPO was set up in an effort to cost-effectively locally produce much-needed ventilators and CPAP machines.
Within a week of that happening, I started networking and pulling people together and said, listen, we've got to make a ventilator. Now, pulling people together, the key person in pulling people together was really Shivani, and that's where she came in. She was bloody unbelievable. I reached out to NAACAM, almost out of the starting blocks and said, this is what we want to do. And as wacky as it sounded, I said, we need to, it's not a case of want to, we need to build ventilators for South Africa. We said, okay, we've got a whole bunch of things that we need to make. There's no way that we can make a ventilator, design a ventilator that's been inspired by this unit if we are trying to do this all in-house. And so there we took a page out of the automotive playbook, and really it was quite classic through the offices of Shivani and really the people that then got to hear about us, and it was like a snowball. It just started, people just started calling us on a daily basis. We were able to break this ventilator unit down into, say, 10 key components. We were able to go through to various companies, give them the component, and ask them to actually engineer the component, develop prototypes, and ultimately how the whole project worked. And we were able to compress the project and the supply chain. Each individual company took complete responsibility of that part. And then at MCR is also a significant member of NAACAM. We consolidated it and put it together. The capability that we have in South Africa is extraordinary, and it's so important that we keep that capability. And I can really say it exists in this country largely because of the automotive sector. With automotive being safety critical, and us having these very complex quality procedures and having that philosophy inculcated in the people, the transition from making a medical unit that had to be really, really uber quality oriented, from auto sector into the medical sector, it wasn't a big transition.
It was pretty much a blur for us, having to design this CPAP device. Well, firstly, an invasive ventilator, and then change the design, quite a way down to a non-invasive ventilator. So it was quite a challenge, quite a nice challenge. I mean, we, obviously had to make drawings of everything that we could send it out to all the suppliers. So we also pulled in the engineering capabilities of our neighbors, that is Afrit, that make the truck trailers. So they were on board to help us with the engineering guys, and it took us, I think, a good part of about 2 weeks to make every single drawing on the whole CPAP device. Then obviously, as Justin mentioned, we passed it out to all the suppliers that we were, had on board in the team. And we took over the responsibility of the mixing device. So the mixer device is pretty much a blender that blends the air and oxygen at a ratio that the doctor or the nurse wants to give the patient. So it's got balancing units on top that balance the gas pressures so that you're always getting out the right concentration as what they want to give the patient. I mean, it was a hell of a exercise. I mean, if anyone had ever asked me in my life, would I be making a ventilator, I would think you need pills. It's not what we do. We make brake calipers that are safety critical, but we don't make ventilators. So, it was a hell of an exercise. I mean, it's made some great friends, which we didn't even know. We knew of each other but never met. So it was a good thing, great for the country, and great, to keep us all going through this whole exercise.
Whilst some members found success pivoting their businesses to produce personal protective equipment, others have turned their interest to the opportunities that lie across the African continent.
To be mentioned is the fact that Bosch has been for many decades present on the continent. For more than 100 years, we have been here locally, selling our products and try to understand the market. Number one, what we look into is to get market intelligence. What it means is we try to understand the market dynamic and the local requirements, what we need in order to be successful. Number two is active involvement. Active involvement means that we try to shape the ongoing discussion and effort about the establishment of a Pan-African automotive ecosystem. Here in this case, we use the platform of AAAM, where we have been actively involved from the beginning.
The development of component manufacturing capability in Africa from the lower tiers up is a critical part of the auto ecosystem that is required to enable the real industrialization of our sector and job creation on the continent. Our recent research in Ghana revealed the existence of only one auto component manufacturer who produces leaf springs. Yet the research also showed manufacturing capability for products in other sectors in metal, plastic, rubber forming, along with machining capability. I see NAACAM playing a key role in the development of these manufacturers, initially for supply into the aftermarket and then to the OEMs as the volumes grow.
Despite the tough year, the ability of NAACAM and its members to adapt and persevere has allowed the sector to exit the year in a strong position. Other member companies have also had noteworthy successes over the year. Bosal Africa, part of the Bosal Group and global Tier 1 automotive supplier, invested about 25 million rand in the upgrade and relocation of the new OEM manufacturing emission control systems plant in Kuduspoort Industrial, Pretoria. Ebor Automotive Systems built its new Ebor East London plant, which will create between 80 to 100 jobs. The first machines and tools have been received and the first samples have been produced for the upcoming Mercedes W206 program. Ebis Pasha South Africa received a Q1 award from Ford Motor Company earlier this year. The Q1 rating measures all aspects of the business system, including quality, cost and delivery. Another highlight of the year was the inaugural NAACAM Golf Day, hosted by associate member Sasfin Commercial Solutions.
We met with NAACAM last year and discussed an event where the automotive industry can get together in a nice, relaxed environment, while engaging with new entrants into the automotive supply chain and supporting an incredible cause. So the outcome was the 2020 NAACAM Annual Golf Day, to be hosted by Sasfin. After NAACAM identified a cause that is addressing shortcomings of qualified learners from disadvantaged backgrounds in the fields of science and mathematics. So after further discussions, we partnered with the Centre of Advancement of Science and Mathematics Education, or CASME. So planning commenced and immediately we were overwhelmed by the response from NAACAM members, with many excited golfers ready to show their talents and sponsors lining up to assist in creating a really spectacular event. In total, we managed to raise 60,000 Rand, which will definitely go a long way in making a difference to the youth of today. So yeah, the exposure to CASME was amazing, and many companies have already spoken to the CASME team to help them in their drive to assist in educating our youth.
Hashtag we are NAACAM.
Hashtag we are NAACAM.
Hashtag we are NAACAM.
Hashtag we are NAACAM.
Hashtag we are NAACAM, and we're proud to be NAACAM.